My name is Captain Ted Erdman. I'm the program manager for the Coast Guard's Logistics Information Management Software Acquisition Program. I'm here to talk about the challenges, the history of my program with the challenges in a software acquisition. We've been around for quite a while working through acquiring this bit of software, and we've experienced a number of challenges that different program managers have had to overcome, and I want to just discuss those as we look forward towards the future of acquiring technology and tools to help our various services. So again, I'm Ted Erdman. I started this job as the program manager in June 2021, and I'm rotating this summer, but have quite a few experiences in the last 3 years. And talking about, from the program manager's perspective, historically, and what we're going to do moving forward to overcome those. I'm going to talk about what is CG LIMS, Logistics Information Management System, a bit of history, where we are now with our Navy partnership, and then what we're doing in the future, and have time for questions. So what is CG LIMS? Kind of a big ask. The blue box on the bottom, it kind of captures it. We're going to replace all of the Coast Guard's legacy IT tools with a single modern integrated system. It's going to cover asset configuration, maintenance, and supply support for all the system. So looking at the graphics up there, in the middle I have the core functions, supply and maintenance, and we spread out to both sides the various bits of work that they cover from supply side, focusing initially on parts to support maintenance, the business intelligence on how to manage that stock, moving over to the maintenance side, the scheduling, the planning of the work, the personnel to do the work, connecting all those to the human resources. So not necessarily managing the human resources, but connecting to the tools to say, this person's qualified, I need to assign someone to work on a diesel. They have the correct diesel quals. As an aviation mechanic, do they have the correct aviation quals so I can assign them to work? And also connecting all those to our financial systems to make sure that when you purchase something, it gets funded correctly and purchased correctly. So a lot of connections, but a lot of capability. This is an integrated suite of tools. We currently use a plethora of legacy applications that were developed mostly in-house by the Coast Guard. The other services I'll talk about the Navy in a bit, they're trying to tackle this problem as well. This type of integrated solution doesn't exist because it's a big ask. It's a big tool set to ask for. There's a bunch of separate tools, but the actual integration across all of them at once is a bit of a challenge. I'm not going to read through this, but this is kind of what I'm going to go through, our history, and I'm going to hit some of the challenges that we got. But key on there is this program was chartered in 2008. Originally, the idea was part of our integrated deep water contract that we were going to acquire new assets in the logistics system to support them. So it's been around for a while. As a software acquisition, I'm looking at more than 15 years, and we haven't really gotten haven't delivered a lot. We've delivered some, and I'll cover those, but had a lot of time to have some learning experiences that I want to share. So starting in the beginning, like I said, the CG LIMS concept was part of the original Deepwater contract. We were going to buy cutters, aircraft, C5I, and all the tools to maintain them. The program was initially chartered in 2008, so the first PM for this CG LIMS was chartered then. And my box on there, I'm going to change as we move forward. The original scope covered aviation, surface, and ashore assets, and then all 5 of those different areas of work. Configuration, maintenance, management, supply chain, technical information, actual financial integration, and then the HR and other systems. So as we move forward, that's where we started at, and I'll show you moving forward. You start a new acquisition program, you do the LCCE, you go out, do market research, come up with how you're going to attack this program, and you come back with, that's going to cost a lot. The historically software, especially 15 years ago, our estimation model is not always the most accurate. Usually we get a little bit of overrun or not fully understanding the scope. So we came back with LCCE and balancing that in the Coast Guard, and I'll say as I go through this, I'm not trying to throw shade any which direction. There's a lot of decisions at the PM level. There's a lot of decisions much higher than the PM across the Coast Guard, across the government in a whole. So this is just how it affects the PM side. The cost estimate for that level of tool, the only amount of money available was just to de-scope it down to aviation, and also de-scope off two of those, financial integration and the HR integration. So almost right out of the gate, we're de-scoping because of cost. So focusing on an aviation-only solution. The program had to adjust on fitting into that model, and then what are we going to do with that? So we started with a pilot. So we're looking at aviation only. Did a pilot in ATC Mobile, Aviation Training Center Mobile. It was ran for 6 years. We used an Oracle EPS solution. Demonstrated everything that was asked. Organizational maintenance for aviation, the technical management. We did supply side at ATC. Didn't branch out beyond that. And downside there was, since it was a pilot, we still maintained both systems. So the user's a bit frustrated with having to go both ways. However, I said it's a success, but that created its own problems, what I'll get to in a minute. Everyone liked it, and that's a good thing for the PM, except everyone liked it, and they wanted more of it. So I'll get to that problem in a moment. Coming out of near the end of that, or near the middle of that pilot, scope was increased again as we, in the Coast Guard, were working on a new financial system. So instead of having the scope in CG LIMS, as it was originally, we had to interface with our new financial management system, FSMSI, FIMSI. So adding a little bit of scope back in, not a huge ask for the program, but a bit of complexity, as this is a DHS system that we have little control over, that we need to then interface with. At that same time, the technical information management, another problem that was focused by the Coast Guard that we ended up having to solve, and we did solve successfully, was cyber. Everyone's got cyber issues now. 2015, we have cyber issues as well. The Coast Guard had and still has two technical information management systems, one for aviation, one for surface. Cyber analysis said these need to go offline almost now. And we had a little bit of time, but you need to get a replacement now. They're cyber vulnerable. You need to take them off the network. That's not a viable solution to maintain a surface and an aviation fleets. That doesn't work. So we partnered with our Aviation Logistics Center, who is the software center of excellence. They own the software programs, and developed a whole new set of tools. The surface tool went online in 2015. The aviation tool based off of it a few years later. So problem for the PM, cyber is a problem. We need to fix this now. That's not going away. Working with our cyber folks now, the best thing we do is we pull them in the beginning and make sure that we don't get exposed to vulnerabilities in the end. And that's something that our cyber lead beats into me all the time, make sure I'm calling his folks in early. But right now, that tool, CD LIMS TIM, Technical Information Management, is used by 15,000 users concurrently throughout the Coast Guard, not just in surface and aviation, but also it pulled in our C5I assets, so it checks the C5I side of all of those tools. So like I said, the pilot was successful at ATC, and the problem that created is everyone liked it. So, how come just the aviators have that? Why do we only have that in Mobile? The surface folks want it, the other aviation folks want it. This is great. Well, that's the problem from the PM side, is how do I provide that? In the beginning, I said the LCCE caused the scope to be de-scoped because it was too expensive. Now everyone thinks this is great. All right, we got to add the scope back. Everyone wants it. See, the green boxes grew, adding back in surface and shore. I have the CD LIMS TIM in there that covered technical information. But that caused a bit of an issue with, all right, now the scope is back where it was, so what do I do? Another set of documentation, new analysis, new LCCE, do analysis of scope. It's been quite a few years, do a current market analysis, things like that. All things the program did at that point. But where we got to was, the program was aviation only, all right, that fit in the box. Now we do all the LCC again. All the program documentation is set up on aviation in one location. Want to blow that back out, now we're talking about, all right, we're going to breach because the scope is too large again. We have to redo all the program and documentation. So, challenge for the PM, that's what I'm talking about today, is the acquisition governance. We got to make sure that we're tracking with our governance. So, notify our leadership in the department, we're going to breach because we're successful. And maybe it's a good story. Everyone likes this. This is popular. We need to step back and reanalyze this program. Look at how we can provide the need that our community's asking for, the sponsor's looking for, and keep it inside of affordability. The bottom line on there, so to do that, we did a business case analysis. It's common, everyone's relatively familiar with that idea, is what's out there in the market. So what's available? Do we want to stay with Oracle EBS? It was successful, it's a way to go. What's that going to cost? Do we want to modernize our current tools, the homegrown ones? What else is out there? So we did that business case analysis, and we came upon the Navy, our partner in DoD, is looking at the same type problem. They have similar requirements. They have aircraft, they have surface assets. Their AOR, larger but very similar. We do a lot of the same work in the same places. We do counter drug in the same place in the Caribbean. We're cutters and ships working right next to each other doing the same exact mission. We are deployed many places the Navy is, not all of them. So our needs are very similar. We use similar supply tools, similar sources of supply, similar equipment. So looking at the benefit of, hey, we found out the Navy's trying to tackle this problem. Let's go meet with them. So the PM went and talked with the Navy program at the time. They were just getting stood up around 2018-19. The Navy is on board with the Coast Guard using their tools, which is great for us. It's great for the taxpayer as well. Only one service is going to develop this large suite of tools. Software, this is expensive. This is a lot of dollars. I don't want to throw too many out there, but we've heard about the various tools that have been made. GCSS Marine Corps, the Air Force programs, Log IT for the Navy. A lot of dollars that, if we're only spending it once across the government, that's better for everyone. The Coast Guard just has to pay our specific parts of it. If we need specific configurations, like connection to our financial system instead of ERP, the specific parts that we own. So this is a good solution. We're going to move forward. The next couple of slides I have talk about the pluses and challenges with a partnership. So, like I said, this is a big problem. The integrated supply and maintenance is a large challenge. No one's tackled it yet, so obviously new. The next two slides have words that fill this out a little bit more, but I figured the graphic was a little easier to see. When we first partnered with the Navy, they had a solution that was supply and maintenance, NOS, Naval Operational Supply System, and NMRO, the maintenance tool, connected by an IDE in the middle. Seems good, it's going to work. The problem, back to my original program as the PM, was affordability. The long-term sustainability wasn't there. It couldn't be sustained. Move to a new solution. When you take out the IDE in the middle, the Navy's going to do the best of breed. Instead of going to an ERP solution, they're going to manage individual tools, the supply tool, the NMRO tool, add in a product lifecycle management tool with an IDE, and link on there is the connection layer. Still, great solution, good for the Coast Guard, good for the Navy. The challenge with any partnership is that the Navy's the lead agency, we're partnering with them. Any challenges they have then impact me. So while there's a lot of benefits to me working with the Navy, and for the taxpayer for me working with the Navy, I'm also stuck with their challenges as well. So I get twice the challenges. They had a little bit of trouble with that overall solution, and they're working through now. The individual tools are moving forward on their own timelines and will be integrated as they're delivered. still an excellent plan for the Navy, and I'll say that that's a great solution for them. The problem for me and the Coast Guard is that while that solution works for the Navy, and I'll look at the NMRO tool, the maintenance tool, that ties into a lot of Navy applications. So you replace the current Navy maintenance tool with a new maintenance tool, you just tie it to the current Navy applications. Since I don't use those Navy applications, I need the full suite to make good use of this, which is a downside for me and a downside for a partnership. We're looking to see if we can attack parts of this individual solution before it's integrated, but that's where we're at. I think I talked through most of the words on here, but give you up there some of the definitions. I saw a lot of you trying to take pictures and notes. So that it started with their Noble solution, which was the first one on the left, moved through the long-term affordability challenges. And then where we are now with the Navy, their portfolio is called Log IT, Logistics IT. It added the additional link, PLM, and IDE. And like I said a couple of times, this is the first time there's a really wholesale connection between the maintenance and supply tools down to at all levels across surface and aviation. The challenge, like I mentioned, being partner with the Navy, their schedule slid a little bit. They're going to currently plan on hitting their first limited deployment this spring. It was going to be a year or two ago. Now we're looking at this spring, and we'll be there we're doing testing with them now. We're going to be observing the limited deployment and then doing analysis with them afterwards. So still good for us. Just from the Coast Guard PM side, my issue is not in my control. This is my last slide, but so where am I going with this, and how am I adjusting for all these challenges as they come up? So as I don't have control over the Navy progress, what can I do to overcome those challenges? Well, I have cloud requirements, so I can move towards my current tools to the cloud, which then, keep doing that, tie into the Navy cloud, which is what their solution is being delivered at. So we're currently going to take our existing tools to the cloud, make that eventual transition to Log IT easier. We're working on how do we make use of the data. We're going to work on cleansing our data to make it more usable with AI and machine learning. Again, requirements of mine that until I can get a fully integrated Navy Log IT solution, I can provide benefit to our coasties with our current tools. We can also work on developing our remote capabilities and our degraded capabilities, which are part of Navy Log IT. We'll also work with our ALC aviation partners to make those happen, to capitalize on big data. And I want to end with another challenge for the PM. This started in 2008. Back then, no one thought of, well, let's throw it all in the cloud. We can use a lot of machine learning and use low code to have tools that our end users can build themselves to make use of that. That idea wasn't there. I was talking to my dad about this presentation, and we said it was, if you had delivered in 2008, you'd still be where you are today, because 15 years later, technology moved on. You'd be working on putting everything in the cloud, better tagging the data to make it useful to our end users, and let them build their tools and their apps to solve their needs as we provide the large-scale supply and maintenance tools in the end. So I think I talked a little quicker than planned, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Good morning. I'm Captain Deborah McIvy, acting DAS in the APB at the Pentagon. We're going through the same thing, like you said, the United States Navy.
I can't hear you.
Okay, you can't hear me? Okay. I'll try to. Maybe I can speak louder in the mic.
Yeah,
okay.
Maybe talk louder.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Captain Deborah McIvy, DAS and APB. Wanted to know how you get around the ATOs. You talk a lot about integrating The administration part is easy, simple, it can happen overnight. But when you talk about the ATOs, how do you get at that? And with the Get Real, Get Better, how do you keep your powerhouse contractors accountable for that as well? Thank you.
From an ATO standpoint, we are, with our current log IT, working with the Navy, they're providing the Coast Guard level, the Navy level ATO. We need to provide the Coast Guard integration. So from our cyber shop, they work on reciprocity to fill in just the Coast Guard specific parts of any implementations. For the tools that we already have fielded, I have a part of my staff actually, bird dogs and stays on top of any cyber vulnerabilities, issues that pop up, and we address those as they come up. I'm not sure that really, well, I guess vigilance is the best way we go about it. We maintain on top of our contractors. I have staff that stay on top of our contractors to do that. And like I said, ALC, who actually maintains the tools themselves, have an entire office that just stays on top of the contractors to keep the cyber current.
Hi there. Hello. I'm Jeff with the U.S. Navy. With the U.S. Navy. Excuse me. With the U.S. Navy, I work cybersecurity. And you mentioned in one of your slides that there were some cyber vulnerabilities that were unresolvable. Can you add a little bit of information to that? Unresolvable vulnerabilities?
Unresolvable vulnerabilities?
Yeah, you had it in one of your slides. Cybersecurity vulnerabilities that were unresolvable.
Oh, that was the driver for.
Thank you.
Taking the previous technical information tools offline. They were, and that was 2014-ish. It was long before my time, so I don't even know the specifics of what was driving them to come offline. But it was a lot of cyber analysis showing up and saying, look, it was almost like you could get those from the public internet. They were almost that big of holes in there, and they're like, that's got to go. You need to secure this down. I don't have any more details if that's what you're asking for. Sir?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Adam Kreese with CEO Kreese Corp. We're dealing with the same issue with Space Force. What I do is software engineering, data architecture. So what we're actually doing is we're building an ecosystem that's allowing to break down data silos and kind of bring in, we're mostly working with OSI levels 2 and 4 to create this ecosystem to bring all the contractors together. So Parsons, Beast Code, data analytics, and we're in this ecosystem we're building is more or less breaking down the data silos, create an environment where we can streamline data and everybody's working integrated together. How we're doing that is more or less using what the government's already bought. The licenses with Microsoft, and then building it within frames to break down costs. So however we can get in contact with you guys to help you out. We're also working with Oracle to help build better on their EBS systems and building this eco-friendly environment to allow data to be streamlined and help us push to the future innovation. So I don't know how acquisition comes for you guys. More or less, Space Force, I had to go all the way to Florida, talk to Space Force guys, and kind of get with Parsons and all these guys to build this environment. But it sounds like whether it's your guys' issue, Army, we're all having the same issue. And what our company's providing is an ecosystem to break down those silos, bring them all integrated together, and help push the innovation forward.
That's exactly what we're attempting to do. So I'll connect with you. Thank you. Anyone have anything else? All right. Thank you for your time.